inspiring ideas that propel the business community forward. And now, Connect with KB.
This is Kristin Beltzer. This is another episode of Connect with KB, and I am going to expand on my conversation today with Audrey Dahlgren, and Audrey is the sports director for TV6 in Lansing, and we were talking a little bit about her role as the sports director, that she's coming up on a year now in that role, and we talked a little bit about how it changed you and what you did in October 2019 versus where you are now coming up on October of 2020.
Yeah, it's been a lot of changes, I would say, but I do think for the better. I mean, to be blunt about it a little bit, I think that it's been really good. There were a lot of things that we touched upon talked about a little bit, but there have been a lot of things that I learned during my time in St. Louis that when I came back, I was like, we can do things this way, or why aren't we doing things this way, or we can think about it like this. And I think it's really, it's helped. I don't know if because I do want to touch upon this. I don't know if you've noticed, where we stand for the fifth quarter.
I have.
Where we stand for the fifth quarter or for our sportscast at 11. Implementing standing in front of this monitor that we have. That was one thing in St. Louis. We had a very beautiful set. We had all these different options. And so coming back home, I'm like, okay, I learned that, too, in St. Louis, you can use the green screen to do things, and then, different ways to set up shots. And so, trying to think outside the box that way. Now we do all of our shows from the big monitor.
Yeah.
And then also now we're doing it, in terms of standing up more and doing things like that, not only just in our sportscast, but in our newscast as well.
Has it resonated well with the audience?
As far as I know, yes. I think I've had some coaches and people, reach out to me and tell me that they love the new setup and they love, the fifth quarter in itself and just some of the changes that were implemented. And so I have received a lot of positive feedback on it, actually. So it's been nice. That's been nice to hear.
Well, absolutely. Everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
How has being a leader at the station kind of changed you as well? And as you evolve into this role, it's probably a little bit different than just working at the station, but having to lead people.
It's been a lot different, just because, you come into, before taking over as sports director, you come in, you just really have to focus on your job. Like your role is just, your stories and your anchoring and covering certain things. But when taking over, it's like this all-encompassing thing that, it's, in a way, obviously, you have your team, but you have to, that saying, like, you're only as good as your team.
Absolutely, I do.
So, and we have a really great team right now. But just learning to prioritize things and make sure that everything is getting done. And, a little thing, I told somebody, I said, finding out that the fifth quarter bus, like you're in charge of where that goes. Just
right.
Like little details like that I had no idea that was something that, Fred did.
Yeah.
And so just making sure that you're, crossing T's, dotting the I's, but also the leadership part is just learning people's personalities, learning how people function, learning what motivates people. That's been pretty challenging.
Well, because, people have different personalities, and, when you're not kind of in charge of leading them, sometimes you're not paying attention to that. Mm-hmm. And then when you do, and you have to, very much like parenting, you have to understand how to push people's buttons and how to get them to respond.
It's funny that you say you're like a parent, because I joke with people and I say, I feel like I've have two kids now, but in a good way. I don't mean that.
You bet.
Do not mean that in a bad way whatsoever, or a negative way at all. It's just different,
Well, it's different in that you love them too.
Yes.
Your attraction to them and your feelings for them also expand when you have a role as a leader and you want to see their success.
Yeah, and and that's the other thing too that I will say this. Have pretty high expectations, very high standards, and sometimes to a fault. But at the same time, I am going to push you. And some people are okay with that, and other people are not. But I can't navigate away from that because that's just who I am. I push myself tremendously hard every single day. And so I expect the same thing out of the people of our team.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because that sounds like a coaching mentality. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was getting a little fired up there.
You bet. But you know what? I think that's what great leaders do. And I think that they do hold people accountable. And that's really important. And they're so grateful for it after, even when it's hard. And you've seen a lot of that. You know, Izzo is a classic example of this about driving guys. And then, you know, they are committed to him for life, long after they leave Michigan State, that they remember the person who invested in them and believed in them and told them this is how it's going to be and I'm going to hold you to a standard.
Yeah, and that's been really hard because I think people, I've noticed that people take it the wrong way. They see it as, well, you don't like me, or why are you so hard on me, or why are you treating me like this? And it's like, no, I'm doing this because I genuinely care. I want to see you succeed. I would not be when I don't do that to you, then you know that I have written you off.
You bet.
And that's a little harsh to say it like that.
It is true. If you're not investing in somebody, and you know, then you're not looking for their success. It's just there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your relationships with some of the high school athletic directors and MSU and U of M, and how has that gone and grown over the last year?
Oh, it's grown tremendously. And I cannot speak highly enough about all of the administrators and coaches in this area. And they're phenomenal. You know, getting to know, like I said, in the first time that we kind of spoke, getting to know people, to know that they're just so much more than the role that they're the title that they have. And that relationship, you know, I probably talk to, I would say, a lot of people, if not every week, but like try to consistently, you know, keep up with them every week or, you know, every other week. Just, you know, so that to know that it's more than just, hey, we want to cover this and that's all I need from you. Because I genuinely care about everybody. And I know that sounds like a lot to take on, but I mean, it's more so than just, hey, like, help me with this score, or I need this interview, or, you know, I genuinely want to know the heartbeat of what's going on in each community here in mid-Michigan, as well as the teams at Michigan State and Michigan.
Yeah. Well, you know, and there's that backstory on them as well in terms of people and, you know, how much they want their student athletes to succeed. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it goes way beyond sports too. I mean, very much like the coaches, but the athletic directors also want these kids to do well. And, you know, I know a lot of them too have thought about, you know, if we can't put them in classrooms and have them doing their academics here on a campus setting, do we put them into a sports setting as well? And there's been a lot of conversation about that. Yeah,
you know, I think it comes up a lot with basketball season.
Yeah.
You know, it's coming up right around the corner. And I think that being able to, this is one thing that Bill Beekman said, is that being able to have virtual and online classes, and, you know, Izzo even spoke about this a little bit, is that it gives them more flexibility to be more flexible with the basketball season. And as you know, there are less athletes on a basketball team versus football.
Yeah.
And so that also gives them more flexibility to have a season. And I do think that we will have basketball. I know you asked me if I thought football would come for high school level. I don't see that happening, but I do see basketball season happening.
Yeah. Do you think there'll be limited, obviously, in attendance or no attendance?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That part, it'll be an adjustment, but
I think that people really need this. Mm-hmm. You know, men and women and mm-hmm. kids. I mean, I just think sports is a connector.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a huge connector. That's one of the reasons that's what I always used to tell people why I love sports so much, is because think about it. It covers every single emotion that you can think of possibly that a human goes through and experiences. Even in like one game, you can go through happiness, sadness, anger, you know, elation. It just goes on and on and on, but also to, the personal side. So,
well, you know, and for families, you know, I will tell you that my son's a big golfer, and that has been a great connector for us. in regards to, watching the majors, but, even the BMW championship and things that are happening out there, a real opportunity for you to connect on a different level in regards to sports and, ways for families to be together.
It molds your life. It really does. I mean, because I don't think that I would have be anywhere in the position that I am today if it wasn't for, my dad and the things that we did, growing up. He would take me, he was a huge runner in high school. Now, pass that along down to me.
Sure.
And we would go running together. And that, escalated into the career I had as a runner. Also, too, our family, huge Michigan State growing up. It was like Michigan State, Michigan State. I will never, ever, ever forget when Michigan State won the 2000 national championship. My dad and I were in our living room and we were just screaming up and down with, just so much excitement just because of those are memory making moments, all because of sports.
Absolutely.
And every single family has a story that if you ask them, why they have a favorite team or who they root for or why they like this person, it'll connect you. You will go back to the direct source of an emotional connection of some kind.
Absolutely. Let's talk about women in the sports field in your role now as sports director. But how do you lift up other women and help them kind of navigate through this if this is what they want to do? And then I also want to ask you a little bit about future aspirations in the Big Ten Network and ESPN.
Yeah, I am open to anyone that ever wants to reach out to me for any type of question or if they need any advice for anything. I am willing to give that to them, especially women, because I do think that, being in this role, I hope to provide, some sort of inspiration in a way, because to say that it's, it is possible for you to be a leader in the sports world. Because I think for a long time, there were these misconceptions that women couldn't do it.
Or they didn't know what they were talking about.
Exactly. And, I love those conversations. I welcome those conversations to anybody that wants to talk to me about sports or, anything in life. But for young women that are out there or just anybody in the business still, I have this is interesting for me just because I attack it in a way that is, I am very blunt. I'm a blunt person. And so I will be very honest, but it's only to help, And so but I do encourage anybody to reach out to me and to talk to me because I'm very open and I would love to help.
Well, you'll find that, Audrey, the older you get to, the more that will be important to you in terms of giving back and mentoring, not only young women, but men as well. And an opportunity for them to see their future. There's a lot of opportunity as you come to the station and you want to make changes. I suspect somebody could come in behind you too and want to make a lot of different changes. As you look to your future, what does that look like for you the next 5-10 years and your opportunity to maybe go to a bigger market or expand on your skill set?
Well, I've been in a bigger market with St. Louis, so it would have to be, in order for me to be taken away from Mid-Michigan, it would have to be a very, very large market, big opportunity. But, I used to be so caught up in thinking that, how to plan for, 2 years here, 3 years here, and then I need to be here by this age. But right now I'm just so focused on living in the present and trying to make our sports department and our station the best that it can be. And if there's an opportunity that arises that comes from that, who knows what could happen. But right now I'm not too focused on that just because too, I have the freelance opportunities with the Big Ten Network that I'm able to do. And that kind of feeds the need to, not leave, but that side of it to get to that next level.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that experience and what have you done that was kind of big for you that really kind of pushed you out of your comfort zone?
Well, I mean, the first opportunity that I had to work for the Big Ten Network, it really opened my eyes to wow. I mean, this is big league stuff here. I mean, you showed up, they had everything ready for you. All you had to do was talk, do your thing. I mean, and I came up with everything that I said too. So I think that's a big misconception. I think that a lot of people think that at the network level, you have work that's done for you. You have your cameraman, you have your audio guy, you have, somebody that may hold an umbrella for you if it's raining. But, you don't have people that are telling you what to say. I mean, you are coming up with that content on your own. That's why it's so important as a young journalist or, to do the work, do your homework, make sure you know what you're talking about. Because even at the network level, you have to do that. You're not just going to, skate to the top just based upon, certain things. And so, but that opened my eyes a lot to that. And it was a great opportunity, an incredible experience. And I was supposed to actually for Michigan State on Selection Sunday, I was supposed to work for Big Ten to cover Michigan State. But obviously, as we all know, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But you know what? I have a sneaky suspicion that things are going to work out for you and that you're going to have other opportunities. And I so appreciate your authenticity, Audrey. I think that's the thing about you that is is appealing to me, is that you are so authentic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I do.
I want you to come on again. All right?
Absolutely.
You bet. I'd like to thank my guest, Audrey Dahlgren. She is the sports director for WLNS TV6. I also want to thank my supporting sponsors, Marketing Resource Group, White Law, Dowding Industries, Governmental Consultant Services, AF Group, AT&T, and the Loomis Law Firm. You can listen to all of my podcasts at connectwithkb.com. Until we connect again, go live your best life. I'm your host, Kristin Beltzer.